Welcome back, it's Zion from Uke on Demand, and this week we're going over CityAlight's Yet Not I, But Through Christ in Me. We're going to go over the first part of the lesson in this video, but you can get the rest of the tutorial and all the tabs at ukeondemand.com. Let's get started. So bar 1 sounds like this. So to play that part, we're going to start out in an F chord, which is just index finger on the first fret of the E and middle finger on the second fret of the G. We're not going to strum it just yet. We're just leaving it there to prepare for what's to come. First, we're going to pick that first fret of the E by itself twice. And then ring finger to the third fret of the E, pick that once. Then lift the ring finger back off to reveal the regular F chord, and now we get to strum it. And after we strum it, don't take it off, leave it there, because now we're just going to pick the strings within the F chord. So open C, first fret E, and open A. And you're already making the needed position with this shape. So after that, we're going to strum it one more time. Ring finger back to the third fret of the E and pick twice. Lift off and just pick the first fret of E. The middle finger will hop over from the second fret of the G to the second fret of the C, and index finger just stays where it is, and you're going to pick these two strings together, the C and the E. And then the C by itself. So putting that part together slowly. The next half is similar. We're going to start out in another F chord, but like before, we don't strum it right away. Instead, we pick the first fret of the E twice again. And then open A. And now we can strum the F chord. And this measure right here is almost identical to the measure when we first strummed our F chord. So we strum once and then pick the C, E, and A, leaving the shape where it is. And strum again. First fret E. Third fret A, that ring finger is just going to come right there. Lift off, pick open A. And that concludes bar 1, and that first note of bar 2, that C5 chord, it's going to be open G, open C, ring finger on the third fret of the E, and we're going to completely ignore the A string. So we don't pick the A at all. After we play that C5 and hold it, then we're going to go into something that was pretty similar, again, to bar 1. So just make that F chord once more, pick first fret of E twice. Then we're going to pick open A. And then strum F, and this measure is identical to the one right above it if you're looking at your tab sheet. And then C, leaving the shape there, C, E, and A. Strum again. And then ring finger to the third fret of E and pick twice. Lift off and pick the first fret of E. Index finger to the first fret of the E string and middle finger to the second fret of the C. Pick them together, and then just the C string. And then once more, pick the first fret of E twice, and then A string. Back to our F chord position, strum once, and then just pick those next 3 strings like before. Lift off, and now we're going to strum an A minor 7, so that's all open strings. It's also known as a C6. So it's the easiest chord on earth. After that chord, we're going to pick the open G string 3 times. And you're going to hold that one in the middle for a bit longer. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. And that will lead us right into the next bar. But first, before we do that, let's play this bar that we just learned together slowly. So starting from that first measure on the screen there, the C5. And you may have seen in the video, I just played the 3rd fret of the E instead of the open G string. It's still the same note. So it's whichever's personal preference is the one to use. Alright, so now we're in that beginning of bar 3. And we've just picked the open C string and the 1st fret of the E together. After that, and we hold it, and after that we're going to pick the open A string twice, and as we're doing that we're going to slowly bring our hand up to the 5th fret, and then we're going to play the 5th fret of the A with our middle finger, and I'll show you why that's important in just a second. And so after that, we use our middle finger because we're essentially going into our G chord, what you might be more familiar as a G chord shape down here. But instead, we're going to be starting it at the 5th fret and not playing the G string when we strum it. So now it is a B flat. So we start from that C string and just strum down. And so there'll be middle finger on the 5th fret of the A, ring finger on the 6th fret of the E, and index on the 5th fret of the C, and that's where we start. After we do that, much like what we did during the F chords down here, where we just picked those strings within the F chord shape, we're going to do the same thing with this B flat. We're going to strum and then just pick, leaving the chord there, pick C, E, and A. And then strum once more. Remember not to hit the G on this chord. Alright, now we're going to drop down because we're going to be working our way back into an F chord soon. So to the 3rd fret of A and pick that twice. Index finger to 1st fret of A. Over into an F chord. We're going to strum the entire F chord right away. And here we're going to keep our F chord position. We're just going to add that ring finger to the 3rd fret of the A, because this is actually what we're going to play in the next note. So just the 3rd fret of A by itself. And the reason I was saying we leave these here, because now this is also an F chord, even with the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A. And so it's going to strum that once as well. And then pick the C string, 1st fret E, and then open A, pinky to the 8th fret or ring finger, it doesn't really matter which one you use for this one. 8th fret of A, 7th fret of A, into a B flat. That B flat that we're doing just a second ago. And the reason why I like to use my pinky, because here's the shape that we're going to go into. We're going to do a little different than we did the first time with this bar, but it's it's 3 perfect little steps if you use the pinky, then the ring, and then the chord. But either one, you pick the 8th fret and the 7th. All right, we're going to go back into this chord. Now you have the option of doing it how we did it a second ago, like your G chord shape, or you can do a simple little bar across these bottom 3 strings and add that middle finger to the 6th fret. Both are correct. Whichever one's more comfortable for you is what you should use. But either way, moving on, we're going to pick the 5th fret, the 6th fret of the E, which your finger's already there, and then you have going to add the pinky to the 8th fret of the E. And now we're going to drop down into that F chord that we learned just a second ago, where it's our original F chord shape, but we're also adding the ring finger to the 3rd fret of the A string. And we're going to strum that once. Pick that 3rd fret of the A by itself twice. Lift off, pick open A once. And then the next note going into the next bar is a C5. But before we go into that part, let's play this bar together slowly, starting at that open C and the 1st fret of E at the beginning of this screen. And that's how to play the first part of Yet Not I, But Through Christ in Me. To get the rest of the lesson and the tabs, head over to ukeondemand.com and subscribe below so you don't miss our upcoming fingerstyle tutorials. We'll see you next time.